Our speakers for today are John Jarrett, Vice President of Merchandising Systems from Academy Sports, and Gurhan Kok, Founder and Chief Scientist of Invent Analytics. They're going to walk us through an AI-based inventory optimization case study from Academy Sports. Let's welcome them to the session.
So as Smith said, my name is John Jarrett. My responsibilities as VP of Merchant System Operations is to drive business through MP&A and merchant technology initiatives. I had a great opportunity with Academy to help deliver many solutions over the last 12 years, but this one in particularly I'm excited to tell you about today. I'll tell you a little bit about Academy Sports and Outdoors, our situation and goals for this project, how Invent fit our needs, what is Invent, what we did, and where are we going from here. First, let me tell you a little bit about Academy. Academy Sports and Outdoors has been around for 80 years. We are a $4.8 billion company, which makes us the second largest full-line sporting goods retailer in the country. Our 4 categories of products include sports and recreation, outdoor, footwear, and apparel. Our team members total approximately 22,000 across our footprint. Our store productivity is 2 times greater than our peers. Today, we operate 259 stores in 16 different states, and those stores are served by 3 distribution centers in Tennessee, Georgia, and Texas. The company is led by our chairman, president, and CEO, Ken C. Hicks. So here's a look at our footprint across the South, Southeast, and Midwest. Our current stores are based in a relatively concentrated area with the most favorable demographic mix in the country. Academy does business in 7 of the 10 top fastest growing markets in the US. We've expanded substantially over the last 5 years, opening 63 new stores, as well as we branched into new markets. While we are still expanding, we are doing so strategically now. Our growth plans are focused on filling stores in existing markets, select new stores in contiguous markets, and limited growth in new markets. Academy is positioned for tremendous growth, and our executive team has created a plan for our future. This includes our vision, what we want to be, our mission, how we will get there, the values we must have to be successful, and the strategies and actions we must execute. Our vision is simple. It's to be the best sports and outdoors retailer in the country. Our mission is to provide fun for all through the strong assortments and value and experience. Our assortment is one of our strengths. When our customers come into our stores, they're looking to buy something that will help them have more fun. Value is more than just low prices. It's about providing meaningful service to each customer. And every customer who comes in is looking to have fun. We give those customers a good in-store shopping experience and provide them an ease to shop. And so these are our values. They are core to everything we do. Our strategies focus on product, place, promotion, productivity, and people. It is the core of any business plan, and we will execute each in order to achieve our vision and mission. The 2 primary strategies that influenced this project were to be the power merchandiser of sports and outdoors and to increase the productivity of our assets. To be that power merchandiser, we knew we needed to improve our fulfillment execution. This was one of our key 2018 initiatives. In recent years, we implemented a new ERP, replenishment and allocation systems, in order to position ourselves for optimization opportunities. We were running on a traditional replenishment platform with numerous challenges to drive best performance. We had workload and efficiency issues managing 19 plus million records. Execution was suffering due to challenges governing all those records and the parameters to establish the best practice. Our past experience implementing our current platform weighed into our priorities for this project. As you might guess, that experience was painful and it took a long time. So in April of 2018, we set on our selection process with the following priorities. Number 1, we wanted to focus on business impact. We wanted to meaningfully impact business performance as measured financially. We were looking to improve in-stock and reduce lost sales. Number 2, speed and agility. We wanted a fast technology plan to get to market quickly and to deploy a solution by October. It had to be smart with validation throughout the process. It needed to have testing and measurement as part of the implementation process to build fact-based confidence for the organization to move quickly. So our selection process evaluated 5 solution providers, with Invent Analytics the only provider capable of delivering on all 3 priorities in the desired time frame. So Invent demonstrated new technology and science driving financial results. Their solution approach drove optimized inventory stock orders while leveraging our existing replenishment platform and user interface. The system was smart and flexible, allowing users to simulate results prior to execution. To meet our priorities, we needed to be open to new ideas. This was a new science. It wasn't a full system replacement. We used our existing infrastructure and pumped in optimized inventory levels by store each day. What was different was that these levels were based entirely on the profitability that they would produce. Also, Invent's partnering model put them on the hook to deliver the system, the outcome, and a solution that worked for the long run. We broke down the silos of forecasting, allocation, and replenishment, and synergized those silos across the Invent platform. The other thing, we had to embrace a new approach. We had to be agile. And while I'll attempt to tell you a little bit more about Invent and its platform and its science, who better to tell you that than the chief scientist and founder, Gurhan Koch.
Thank you for the introduction, John. It's a privilege to be here and to tell you about our journey with Academy Sports and Outdoors. John has been a great partner to us, as well as all the other folks at Academy. I'm going to give you a brief introduction about what does Invent Analytics do and how it is maybe different from in its approach to inventory optimization. We are a relatively young company that does software as a service-based inventory and price optimization, purely developed for retailers by a young team of 100+ data scientists and engineers. I come from academia. By way of background, I'm a Wharton PhD, and I started in '98 working with a grocery retailer and a fashion retailer on inventory optimization. I was a professor at Duke University for 10+ years, during which I also worked with a number of large retailers in inventory management. And I realized there is a hurdle in front of achieving the full potential of inventory optimization solutions at the retail side, because retailers, or existing inventory systems rather, don't answer the fundamental question, how much inventory I should have at each point in the supply chain for each product at each point in time. Rather, the systems ask the users, the retailers, what service level targets they should hit, or what inventory turns they should achieve. This is a KPI. It is not the fundamental objective. There is no way a single person can answer this question correctly for millions and millions of product location combinations correctly. And without the right metric, even if they focus on a single product location combination, they would never know if it is the right level or the wrong level. There is actually an answer to this that comes from combining 2 financial components of the supply chain. One is the margin that an item is likely to generate when you put it at a certain location for a certain period of time, and the probability that it will generate that margin, because there is no guarantee that it will turn into a sale. The second component is cost of carrying that inventory in that location. So if you put these together, it is basically the net gross profit that an item generates as a result of a move in the supply chain. And that should be the only objective, which is gross profit or profit that we generate. So Invent systems are built around this idea. I see actually, the practice of inventory management in retail as a pagan science. There's the God of in-stocks, and there's the God of turns. And whichever one a retailer has offended the most recently, we serve an offering to them. So this profit maximization focus takes us from that dilemma of going one way or the other every day and trying to calibrate parameters for millions of combinations all the time into a profit-optimized system that delivers the answer out of the box immediately. So we created this system by using a couple of components. These are our solutions. Replenishment is for, as you know, store and DC replenishment. Allocation for highly seasonal or seasonal items. For new items, sometimes where you have no demand history. Markdown price optimization is more for fashion retailers, but again, for items that are seasonal and they don't have necessarily a history of discounts for each item. And price optimization and assortment optimization are built with the similar principles. Today, our focus is inventory optimization, so I'll talk more about that. When we're able to answer the question of profitability because we generate, as I mentioned, we generate profit profiles for each store item location, and I'll show you an example of it. What we generate using artificial intelligence-based techniques, a demand forecasting at store, product, and day level. And our forecasts are not numbers that are average sale forecasts. They are actually probabilities of things happening. So what we try to answer is, this location, product combination, what is the chance that we will have a 0-unit sale, 1-unit sale, 2-unit sale, 3-unit sales? What are these probabilities? We're able to estimate them. As a result, we have a map of the supply chain in 3 dimensions: product, location, and time. And then it is a roulette table, 3-dimensional roulette table, in which you have these probabilities, and we have inventory bet that we would like to place. And we use, based on these probabilities that we've generated, we use financial portfolio optimization like math to decide where you should bet your inventory. Which products, which locations, which time, and what is the optimal level to generate the maximum profitability. So this is the math underneath it, and when we apply this, we are able to get these answers for each of these combinations automatically. AI and machine learning is a significant part of our work. It is not the objective of the system to use AI or machine learning. It is one of the tools that we use. And in inventory optimization, it is most helpful in certain type of environments, when there are a lot of promotions, when there are a lot of new products, and also it is very useful in detecting quality of the outcomes. So we use AI actually also for improvement opportunities. This shows our, it's very detailed, but I'll go through the 3 big titles here to give you an idea of how big, what are the components of our system. The system starts with forecasting, which has, run-of-the-mill, all the old-style forecasting technologies as well as the new ones, but with a focus on generating these probabilities of events happening rather than average sale forecast. The second part is a smart forecast selection model that is very high dimensional. It doesn't just pick the model that is best looking backwards. It actually picks the best model looking forward based on the behavior of the supply chain. It could be, what is happening next week. Promotions, it could be the seasonality, it could be activities that the retailer is taking, and with that information, it picks the best one. We create these probabilistic forecasts and put it into an optimization engine, as I described. It's a financial portfolio optimization, and it's the same way that you would have an efficient frontier in a financial investment model. We generate policies that describe the trade-off between maximizing profitability and the cost of carrying that inventory together. And then the next step, once we establish all this work, which we can actually do relatively quickly, the next step is a test. We have similar tests in every retailer that we deploy this technology. John is going to talk a little bit about that. But this test, this matrix, show the in-market test for our solution. Roughly speaking, we take half of the stores and half of the products, and we have a cross-control scientific experiment in which half the 2 cells we would have Invent systems outcome out of the box implemented as reorder points and actually orders that are generated based on all the supply chain constraints we have. And they're basically used to run those stores and product combinations. And the legacy system or the existing system uses the other one. And we have a very simple comparison. We looked at the KPIs, obviously, but most importantly, we look at the revenue and the margin that is generated in our cells versus the control cells. And the difference can be in the order of hundreds of basis points gross profit increase. Just to give you an idea, for a $1 billion retailer, 100 basis points is 1% of top line. Margin improvement, that goes directly to the bottom line. So for a $1 billion retailer, that would be $10 million profit increase. We see that in fast movers, this improvement could be in the order of 100 to 300 basis points. For slow movers, it could be 200 to 500 basis points. And for a $10 billion retailer, it would be 10 times that. So that's the in-market test that is designed to show direct financial contribution to the company and a strong confidence in the organization to go forward with full-scale deployment. The other piece of machinery that we have is a large-scale simulation system that models how our system would run a retailer's inventory compared to what they have been doing themselves, either before the test or even after the test for alternative strategy simulations, so that we can actually show the impact of any change that will be potentially implemented in the system, how it would generate whether more margin, lower inventories, or other performance metrics that you have. And we use this for both for diagnostics purposes and calibration for going forward. Last piece that is very important for our business model is that our solution is not a black box that asks the retailer to fit into the structures or the processes of our software. It is rather a tailor-fit model in which we work with the retailer in a very collaborative fashion to make sure that we are able to take into account supply chain constraints, store constraints, merchandising processes into the way that we optimize these systems. Because we don't only generate forecasts or reorder points, we also generate actually orders for the warehouse or for the vendors directly, and this requires taking into account all sorts of supply chain constraints, whether they are warehouse inbound, outbound constraints, trucking constraints, store space constraints, open to buy, total dollar volume constraints, and so on. And one of the key differentiation points that we have, probably the last one, is that we are a partnership model rather than a software model. We are focused on business impact, and we are on the hook for delivering that business impact as long as we are actually working together with a retailer. And we aim to do that by in a continuous improvement fashion, in which if our system is not actually capable to address certain types of new challenges that are coming up, we actually go back to the drawing board and custom develop new features or new capabilities that goes into our solution, and that will be part of the live implementation at any of our customers. I think John is going to talk about the time that we went through this full exercise, but one of our strengths is speed to value. We could do this simulations, A/B test, and full market rollout in a very quick way and show the benefit of that. I'll show you an example that is not Academy Sports. This is the results from an A/B test. The red line is the pre-pilot, and to the left to my side of the red line is after pilot. So we have two groups of stores. They roughly generate the same revenue and same levels of inventory, and the moment we turn it on, Group A separates from Group B. This is for a do-it-yourself retailer, where we generated actually both 15% inventory reduction and 400 basis points of lost sales reduction over time in the full rollout period. And this is from an apparel retailer, similar type of picture. The two curves are together. After the pilot, depending on your lead time from DC to store, you start seeing the two curves separating in 3 days or 5 days or 7 days, whatever your lead time is. And in this case, in apparel retailer, we had about 5% increase in sales, and that's about 300 basis points of profit improvement for them. This summarizes the key differentiating factors that I talked about. If you have, we're going to take questions afterwards. I'll, at this point, hand it over back to John to describe our experience at Academy. Thank you very much.
So throughout our entire process, we constantly evaluated business financial opportunities. The implementation began with an initial historical analysis and simulation, as Gurhan described, and it helped us understand categories that had the largest opportunity. This helped the team to rank the merchandise categories and develop a deployment plan. And once we identified the categories we wanted to start with, we did the A/B test and the in-market test to validate those simulations. We operated with some stores on Invent and others on the current system. Upon deployment of all categories and stores, we incorporated a process to continuously evaluate opportunities and simulate strategy changes on our lowest performers. This next slide gives us a little more detail on the approach. So to meet our aggressive objective to deliver financial impact in 2018, we created a pilot with 3 subsequent phases. The system boot up and simulation was from June through August. The next 60 days was our in-market test. We did that with 50 stores in 13 categories. The result gave us confidence to expand stores. Out of the box, it generated significant higher revenue and margin dollars. So in November, we rolled out all the stores for the 13 category pilot. We saw higher sales and in-stocks throughout holiday for these categories and stores with less trapped inventory. In February of 2019, we continued our category expansion. We started with store replenishment, and we followed by DC replenishment for each category approximately 3 months later. And by July of 2019, all of our categories were on Invent. So Invent's partnership approach is very different from our previous experiences. It was hard for us to imagine what this would look like when we first started the project. The partnership turned out to be a truly cross-functional team. We have multiple meetings each week. The dedicated Invent team members are viewed as Academy members and leveraged to help address inventory challenges. Our learnings and the solutions are maturing each day as the teams learn the constraints, the challenges, and the capabilities across one another. Invent is able to anticipate and look forward for opportunities, while our business teams are able to leverage key insights and adjust and change their strategies. So our organization was originally set up across the functional parts of fulfillment with separate teams executing forecasting, replenishment, and allocation. And as you can imagine, this was really dictated by the separate applications and the expertise and the time that was needed to manage those applications. So finding the opportunities across these individual silos was an arduous undertaking, and it took a highly coordinated effort to make changes, and many times only to be realized the next buying cycle. But the Invent platform combined these functions, is synergizing roles to focus on the desired output versus functional execution. So we now have a single functional group staffed with Academy category SMEs and Invent data scientists, and this is what we call our hub team. As a result, execution shifted away from forecasting and parameter maintenance and more to report analysis and data management. And I think this might be the key message to take away today. This project really changed the mindset of our Academy people. It shifted us away from endless parameter maintenance and execution to evaluating and changing fulfillment strategies with Invent automating much of the tactical work. To learn and make the necessary changes, we had to embrace the agile approach. We moved away from document and do, and now it's do and then document. And this was very different from our previous experiences with other software solutions. Before, we'd wait for the software release or customization, and now we are simulating changes, and Invent is making those changes at a rapid pace on the software side, and we on the business side. So where did that take us? This slide represents our technology curve. The red curve is where we were with our traditional replenishment system. The blue curve adds the new Invent technology. While I can't give exact detail on our achievements, we saw significant improvements in in-stock and lost sales, regular promo sales and margin, lower average and aged inventory, all of which led to a material gross profit contribution and ROI. We achieved those benefits both faster and cheaper than other alternatives we considered, especially from the perspective of a total cost of ownership when you take into account the cost of the operating systems with endless parameter calibration and experimentation. Those benefits came through a very different partnership and science-based solution that addressed our unique challenges. I think I've printed or mentioned simulation 5 or 10 times so far. Sorry about that. But this was the key to our advancement. Teams were able to see future outcomes before blindly embarking on changes. We were able to answer questions like, what would happen if we change this item from weekly cross-stock replenishment to warehouse stock replenishment for the next 2 months? Will I have excess inventory if I operate at this presentation level? What is causing my stockouts for this item? And many more questions like these. Another example is holiday planning. Holiday fulfillment is always a difficult time as our volume outpaces our DC and store labor capacity. With Invent, we were able to assist teams with a holiday push plan optimized to improve in-stock and sales while minimizing inventory overhang. We also helped to balance weekly stock orders through the DC, as well as time inventory pushes closer to sales to minimize store back room and store labor issues. So we're learning every day with this system and this team. This solution allows for continuous improvement as we embark on new initiatives that impact fulfillment. A good example here is when Academy rolled out digital capabilities like Ship from Store and BOPUS. We can quickly change the Invent solution to accommodate the associated demand signals and change the fulfillment source or destination. So as of today, we have successfully transitioned 100% of our current replenishment items to Invent for both store and DC replenishment. We delivered a substantial financial impact to our initial project goals. The project also played a critical role to help our company meet our corporate 2019 goals. So where are we going from here? In 2020, we migrated many items. We are going to migrate our many items currently managed on our allocation platform to Invent seasonal replenishment model. We're also looking to inform initial and one-time allocations. Our roadmap includes enhancements to help dynamically change our stock order categories across time to improve performance. Other enhancements will dynamically change the stock order review cycle to reduce DC picking labor. Now that we have successfully laid the foundation for stock order fulfillment, our plan is to engage with the supply chain partners to incorporate supply chain cost into the Invent model. So this is going to help us simulate and execute new strategy changes around things like truck scaling, inbound yard prioritization, store delivery schedules, value-added services, minimum distribution quantities, and a lot more. So we know we've just scratched the surface of this solution and partnership, and we look forward to a nice future together. So thank you for letting us share this journey with you. I know there's a lot of great presentations here at RILA, and I appreciate your sharing your time with us today.
We really appreciate having you here. Thank you very much for
Thank you for your time.
giving the opportunity. Thank you, sir.